Welcome to YBC's Tiny Reps, aka Reparations Zoom Happy Hour.
Hosted by Dee Zimmerer, aka Sweet Baby D Bird, and Bree Cole, me. We are so thrilled to sit down virtually with some of our favorite creatives and keep it real, raise money for the Tiny Reps Fund, a sustaining grants fund to support our local Steamboat Springs BIPOC community.
Every third Thursday of the month, we Zoom it up starting at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
To sign up or join the convo, become a sustaining or one-time donor of the Tiny Reps Fund, head over to our website, youngbloodscollective.org/tinyreps. Pew pew!
Kick us off there, D-Bird.
All right, welcome back. This is the second episode of the Tiny Reps Zoom Happy Hour. I am joined by my amazing co-host, Bree Cole. Hit that ham horn. We are thrilled to sit down virtually with our favorite creatives and keep it real, raise money for the Tiny Reps Fund, an ongoing donation to stay active and support our local BIPOC community.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about the Tiny Reps Fund, you can go to youngbloodcollective.org/tinyreps, and all the info is there, and you can start a recurring membership. So our very special guest today is Michanae Edwards, aka Mishy, and she is our Jamaican queen. We are so lucky to have her in Steamboat. She's not here for much longer, but she is a fabulous web designer, an entrepreneur, soap/skincare guru, and just, TikTok content creator, photographer, model. I mean, it's easier to say the things you don't do.
Multi-passionate, creative, inventive. You're doing it all, girl. It's impressive.
Yeah. Just a amazing human, and I can't wait to have Christmas in Jamaica. So we are talking about immigration today, and we're also going to talk about just your self-made-ness and kind of how you get to that point, some tips and tricks for people trying to get there, me. And then if anybody has questions, we can holler at those. You can throw them in the chats if you want. And without further ado, we're going to do some rapid fire questions. What has been your best Corona meal?
I would say, honestly, when I cooked for y'all.
Yeah,
that was so good. It was my first time, or was it my second time doing pork like that? It was so good. It was so yummy.
I think about that pork probably once a week.
Wait, what was this pork?
It was jerk pork. We smoked it for and grilled it, I don't know, for 5 hours or something like that. It was on the grill for a long time.
The smell of it was unreal.
Oh my gosh. The seasoning.
I can't even describe it, but I smell it, I remember the smell, and I taste it, and I'm God damn.
Melt in your mouth?
Yeah. Oh, God. So tender, so juicy.
Who taught you how to cook?
I just try to figure things out, I think I have just different people in my life, maybe my grandfather. I'd watch. He'd ask us to come and watch him, and my mom as well. And I kind of did a culinary class in high school too, but I didn't really start cooking for myself until I moved here.
Are you impressed with the selection of produce and groceries here?
No, not even in the slightest. I stopped. I used to go out and get burgers, maybe from Rex's or whatever it is, but it never sits right with me. It just doesn't taste right. Shrimp doesn't taste right. chicken has a weird smell. The fruits make my face feel weird. I don't know. I don't love the stuff here, that's for sure. And I miss all my good fruits too in Jamaica because there's so many options.
Oh, jealous.
Maybe you can come to Jamaica too.
I am definitely coming.
Yeah, your Christmas in Jamaica. We're all going. Alex, Sista, Sarah, we're going.
Gang's all here. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that.
When coronavirus is over, that is like top of the list for me.
If something happens where it's like better living, I don't know if it's going to be over.
Okay, D-Bird, you're up with those rapid fire questions.
Oh yeah. Do you have any highs and lows from Corona quarantine life?
Definitely hate that I couldn't get to graduate. Hate that my mom couldn't come to see me like walk across the stage. That's so important to me and so important to her because I've been here for almost 5 years and she wanted to see that. So not having that like authentic graduation experience is definitely something that was super low. At least that was the beginning. And then I really had very terrible sleep schedule. Could not sleep. I definitely was getting a little depressed. Some highs, meeting Bree and getting to spend time with you and Bree on the pond. That was some highs because I definitely didn't have any good enough friends at the time. At least I wasn't really reaching out to anyone at least. And then I kind of reconnected with some other friends as well. So those are kind of the highs, having someone to kind of go through it with.
I knew Bree was part of that. That's awesome to hear.
Love it.
Yeah, you're magical, and I'm I'm just so grateful we got to connect, and I'd rather it be too like a little late than not at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, girl.
Making up for lost time.
Yeah, cram it all in. But I mean, meanwhile, it's like I'm so happy existing virtually too. I get to connect with all my Florida friends and like, Alex being in Richmond, and it's just like, I think there's an alternate side to this coin. I'm into it. What is the song on repeat for you?
I don't really have a specific song. I wish I could tell you one. I listen to a lot of songs. I would go for Afrobeats all the time.
Afro beats.
I don't have a favorite song or movie or I just however I'm feeling.
What about like some recommendations of Afro beats that you are digging that others can look into?
I mean, there's some artists like Burna Boy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Davido.
Danny DeVito.
Huh?
Danny DeVito.
No. Nope. Malik Berry. He's a good one too. Who else? I think those are some of my three mains. Yeah.
Alex, what's up?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Fela Kuti? I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Wait, say it again?
Felakuti, I think.
No, I have never.
It was like Afrobeatish. I listened to him a lot, I think.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. What was his? Will you say it again, Alex?
Fela, I don't know how it's pronounced exactly, but Felakuti. I don't know. Just had to unmute myself for that quick question.
Thanks,
There's a
pal.
lot going on in the background. Sorry.
Good.
Are you at a standing desk, Alex?
No, but like you're on my like countertop, so
At the
And
bar.
the plants are all over the place. But yeah, keep going.
Okay, Mish, who's your favorite follow on Instagram or social media that is Black or whatnot?
I mean, I don't know. There's so much.
Your
Right
top
now, I mean, I think there is Monique Melton. She's an activist and an author. She's pretty awesome. She gives all the good chats about allyship and all those BLM stuff that I don't really know myself either. So I'm like learning from her. She like teaches white people, like she has seminars and things like that for white people to come and learn how to be an ally.
What do you think you could type her name in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
And you found her on Instagram?
Yeah, I don't know how I did, but I think someone probably shared her stuff. And I follow her on my business page.
What's the artwork in your profile pic?
Artwork?
Yeah, there's like a painting behind you.
Oh, you never believe where I got that.
Where?
Ross.
Yes, Ross for the win.
I got it from Ross. It was like $8, but I took it out of the room because the eyes freaked me out.
That's pretty funny.
Love me some Ross too. Yeah, the eyes freaked me out, so I took it out of the room. I don't like looking at it, but it's a nice looking painting.
Yeah, when it's not like in your bedroom space watching you sleep.
Exactly.
I hear that. Well, are you ready to jump into this? You feel warmed up? You feeling good? Feeling loose?
Yeah.
You have a beverage?
I got some red wine.
Not a girl.
I had the bottle in my room, so I don't know. Okay.
All right, well, let's cheers. Kick it off, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Zoom happy hour.
So, Mish, when did you first move here? And here, like, you moved to Steamboat first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you land in Steamboat?
Well, I moved here in December of 2015. My aunt lived here and she suggested going to the college because I didn't know what I was going to do in Jamaica. So she said, why not go to the college here? And so I went through a year process to get into CMC.
Damn.
I got here.
And you were over here for like a work visa or student visa?
It's an international student visa.
Okay.
So I came straight from Jamaica to Steamboat.
And how old were you?
When I applied, I was 16. And I turned 17 in November before I came here, and I started the semester in January. So I was 17 when I got here.
17. First time away from home in a totally different country with a very different climate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the night when I got here, it was 18 below.
Did your aunt prep you for what Steamboat was going to be, or were you like...
I was very surprised. You know, I knew it was going to be cold, but I didn't know how that felt before. So it was very shocking to feel that when I stepped out of the plane at the Denver airport. I was like, what the hell? Why is it so cold? Because I didn't have any jackets yet. I had this like varsity jacket that I thought was thick enough or enough to keep me warm, but it was not. That same night, I bought a jacket at Ross. And a snowshoe from Ross.
Ross for the win.
Your first Ross experience, or do you guys have those in Jamaica?
Oh no, we don't have big stores like that. The only thing that we have from America is sometimes the food chains, so McDonald's and Domino's, Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
But we don't have any malls.
No malls. Like where do you go shopping in Jamaica?
To be honest, I've kind of, my aunt and family here in America has always just sent me clothes.
That's
But yeah, it's always kind of like a last minute thing if I need to buy something in Jamaica. And a lot of times it's jeans, and it would be from a vendor on the side of the street or something, because you can negotiate with them.
and they have like jeans and stuff.
Yeah, they have jeans, slippers, they underwear, they sell everything. They have like a tarp that they have laid out on the street, and they would just like basically haggle you to come over to them and purchase something, and that way you can negotiate, because they're trying to make money to bring home to their kids, a lot of times to make money to be able to go back home, since a lot of times they travel far. So you can negotiate pricing with them. It's not like the stores. If a store has something for $10, you have to buy it for $10. On the road, it could be 10, but you could get 2 for 20, you know?
Yeah, it's like shopping in Mexico.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Should I ask the second question?
Yeah, go for it, girl.
So was your goal to study in America and leave after graduation, or did you set out for like dual citizenship or any other goals while you were in America?
I think a lot of people that come here do have the alternate motive, which is to come and stay. It's hard though. So I did want to stay, but I want it to happen naturally. So maybe I find someone, fall in love with, maybe we get married. Maybe. That's the only way that I'd be able to stay, and that's kind of like what I had in my head. If not, then I come home and I start businesses in Jamaica to be able to live comfortably. But that was kind of the plan. But whenever you go to do the interview, you have to make sure that you have ties in Jamaica and not too much ties in America, because then they'll deny you to come here. So you have to let them know what your plans are to leave.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll follow up on that like after you graduate or something?
No, I don't think they follow up, but they kind of keep track of everything that we do. So every time I leave the country and come back, I basically do a mini interview with the customs agent when I'm coming through. So they ask me maybe how long do I have left, stuff like that.
So do you kind of feel like they're just hustling you along? Like it's not like a welcome experience, or
Going through customs is never a welcoming experience. I'm always scared to come back in the United States, even though I'm here legally. It's scary because they had one time, the person that's responsible for me at the school entered wrong information. And so when I got back, I was interviewed for an hour, and the guy was super mean. And I was in this room, and they like cursed too, like the officers. And it was super scary. He asked me a few questions. He was very strict. He was like, you might have to we're gonna deport you. Send you back. I'm like, no. I was in Orlando and I wasn't feeling well. But there was something else on the paper that showed that I was supposed to be there. So then he let me through. But otherwise, I almost missed my other flight to come to Denver. Any little mistakes and they'll just ship you out.
Sheesh.
Cutthroat. But it's a very broken system, so there it is. So that instance, what else has been a hurdle for you? I mean, even just being here legally.
Working, they limit you to 20 hours a week as an international student. So you can't legally work 40 hours unless it's curricular practical training. And with curricular practical training, you have to do a job in relation to your degree, which was easy because I was doing resort management and I worked at Wyndham, hospitality. That worked. But I was only allowed to work 40 hours a week. Or is it a week? Yeah, a week, if for only 12 months. And then after that, I wouldn't be able to do it anymore. I would have to go back to 20 hours and maybe work on campus. I found my way around that by adding another degree.
Wow. And what's your other degree?
The leadership and management.
And that's like a separate one to your hospitality degree.
Yeah, that one's the bachelor's, and the resort management degree was an associate.
Okay.
Degree. Yeah.
So with not being able to work that much, income has probably been a challenge.
Definitely. Sorry, like I laugh. I'm like, definitely. Because we get charged out-of-state tuition plus some insurance stuff, which I don't know whether or not it benefits me. And so we have to stay full-time as well. So you can't go to a college here as an international student and say, okay, I'll just do 2 courses because I can't afford.
Frozen? Is it just me?
Am I frozen? Okay.
It's my end.
Okay. Yeah, so you have to stay full-time. You can't do part-time. So that makes it even more difficult. There's not a lot of scholarships available for international students. So unless you're like a science major or a mathematician or something.
Did you know all that before you signed up for the program? Like all the details?
No, I didn't know all the details. Like, I read up as much as I could, but I didn't know that I couldn't just come here and get a job and work until I tried to apply, and I kept getting denied through the E-Verify because I have to put in the dates that I would be working. So if I'm going to work at a place for a year, maybe I have to put those dates in, and then what do you call her? You say the guardian, they say designated school official. That person has to put it into the system, how long I'm going to work, where I'm going to work, and that I'm approved. And then I have to fill out the E-Verify with the same information. And that's the only way that I can actually work for someone, unless it's under the table.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty strict.
And so with your business, is that any kind of workaround for you?
Yeah, that is the workaround, because you can still legally have a business, and it doesn't count up hours. You just pay taxes like any normal person. That's the thing, like you still have to pay taxes, and I when working, Social Security gets deducted, Medicare gets deducted. I'm like, I'm never going to benefit from any of those things.
Right. And so how can they justify taxing you when like you don't get to vote? You are like barred from so many resources. And then they're like, oh, we're still going to tax you too.
Insane.
That's the question that I have always had. Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, I have to do all these things. I have to pay taxes. I have to follow all these rules. But I don't have a choice when it comes on to voting, or if I want to maybe apply for food stamps or something. I can't do that because I'm not a citizen. I'm just an international student. Stuff like that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the best experience about living and studying in Steamboat?
I'd say that coming here kind of allowed me to open up more, be more open-minded to food and to religion and way of life, basically. I don't think I used to, when you're raised in Jamaica, you're raised Christian, you don't really have a choice, and a lot of things are taboo, you know? So coming here really made me think more, having conversations with people who are not really tied to something like religion, like Christianity, like it is in Jamaica. You know?
So like just like a little more like diversity in experiences.
Yeah, so I think that's like, that's the most rewarding. And also the idea of starting my own business, because I didn't have that before necessarily, at least to this level.
And so that's, you can take your businesses back to Jamaica with you, having like cut your teeth in America. Can you like talk about how that's viewed for you? Like how it, so I feel like in one of our conversations before, you like talked about that there's kind of this like stigma with like being educated in Jamaica, that they don't like value it as much or something. I might be totally butchering that.
That's not necessarily it. So education in Jamaica is amazing, very competitive. I really do consider the kids in high school smarter than the kids in college at CMC, to be honest. But the thing is that they graduate with their masters and they're working at a call center or something because they want work experience. So the master's is not enough. And then they haven't created enough jobs for people with degrees. So a lot of people in Jamaica are actually underpaid. And so there's brain drain where the underpaid people decide that I'm gonna leave this country and go somewhere else where I can be paid what I'm worth. So that's how people sometimes come to Jamaica, to the US and UK and Canada and stuff like that.
To like do it somewhere else and then be able to, and so is that kind of, at this point, that's your goal? You're not trying to stay here?
I'm not trying to stay here because my time is up. My time is up and I don't want to put myself through trying to get another degree and struggling to pay and pay rent. It's just, it's so work here. And I hate it. And I hate that I can't be with my family. I can't just have them come here. So it's better to just be home and try to contribute to the economy there than try to stay here and be in a place where I guess I see it as a privilege to be able to go home and kind of like have a place where Black people are accepted by everyone. I don't want to have that struggle. So being able to go home and not have to deal with that is a blessing as well. Like I feel privileged for that. But I don't want to stay here after experiencing life here.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have all those kinds of fruit either, so that's reason enough for me.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to come to Jamaica. Seriously. You're gonna love it.
So, I mean, what advice would you give to people either in a similar situation where they're trying to seek education elsewhere, or they're like a person of color moving to Steamboat?
To be honest, in terms of coming to America for education, it's tough now because they're denying people more. Like they've denied a couple of my friends that's tried to come here. And I've heard it at the school too, that they're just denying applications. So, and it's super expensive. So, I mean, I would try. If they could do it, I would definitely try to come. I would say go somewhere that you might have family. Because a lot of times, we have family all over the world, and if another Jamaicans coming to the US, a lot of times they do have family here. So I try to go to them, go to a town where your family is so you can have that support. And for Steamboat, I don't know, because I haven't figured it out here yet. I don't have any tips for Steamboat. Don't go to Steamboat.
Any like
Somewhere that's more diverse and more accepting and has foundation color for your skin. Like, I don't know. It's not the place unless you're going to try to come here and change it. It's beautiful and some of the people are nice, but otherwise, I don't think it's the best place for people.
yeah. Anything that you wish you had known earlier moving here? Or like that you had to learn the hard way?
I wish I knew how expensive it was. I wish I knew how expensive it would be. A lot of times when you're in Jamaica and you look at your family here, you think they're well off, but a lot of times they're working night and day to be able to pay rent and just to afford to live, you know? So I wish I knew that it was going to be like this.
Just a struggle all the time?
Yeah, unless you're making good money and you have good friends and good family, not toxic, then you'd be fine, I think. But otherwise, you're just surviving. I don't want to live. It's just like it's not a good quality of life.
Yeah. Not worth it.
Do you think your quality of life would be different if you moved here already with your businesses and didn't have to worry about school? Because I feel like school is like such a drain on like your time and everything. So do you think in a different situation it would be different here or not really?
I guess it would be different financially, but culture-wise and having those good relationships, I think it's still difficult because I value that a lot. Yeah, people here are too flaky, and the culture here is too individualistic. People just care about themselves, even though they put off this friendly kind of thing. Saying hello doesn't mean they want to say hello to you. It's just being polite. In Jamaica, you don't say hi to anyone unless you mean it. You don't ask how someone's feeling unless you want to know how they're doing. So even with having money, the loneliness would kill me.
Yeah, especially knowing like what you're missing out on back home. I bet it's just you can't compete with it.
No, I've heard that other places in America are better. I haven't experienced that, but I don't know.
I'm sure there's a list of places.
Yeah, I mean, Steamboat is not, yeah. It has real limitations.
If I was gonna live anywhere, I was thinking about Hawaii or something, where I know they like have this big family culture, even with people that aren't really family. Because in Jamaica, like I don't even really know who are my true family members, like by blood, because everyone around me is my aunt or my uncle or my cousin, and we're all kind of like close. And the community that you were born in is kind of the community that you're raised in, and you're there forever, you know, unless you move, but it's not like far. Jamaica is small. So you're like related to someone next door that you've lived beside for 5 years, and you can go next door and ask for sugar and salt and sit on their veranda and talk, and just like you're raised with their kids, stuff like that. I need that. I can't live in a place where I don't even know my neighbors.
Yeah, having a sense of community is really important. And especially, you know, in all this tumult and just unpredictability of our lives right now. And I mean, and for you being a Black woman, I mean, it's just, the threat is constant. And like, if you don't have a support system, that can really put a blow to your mental health and everything else.
Yeah. It's definitely been difficult. I don't want this to be a sad chat, but mentally, I can't wait to leave so I can be happier.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's being able to see the reality of like what immigration looks like, and even in a way where it's should be very straightforward. And I mean, there's just so many facets to that experience for you, and I'm sure many others.
Yeah, I mean, I wish people here were taught how immigration is, or just like visit the USCIS page and look how people can actually, it's like all the information's online. You can literally look it up and see how people can legally come into the country, because some people are like, well, why don't they just come in legally? And like, it's not that easy. You have to have some kind of ties here. I have to have a sister that's a citizen to apply for me, or be married to someone, and even that's a 2-year process. And they might deny you and you don't get your money back. And it's like probably over $2,000, the whole application and interviews and all that. Just coming here, it's not easy at all.
And do you feel like it's been worth all of those sacrifices you've had to endure?
I'd say for my mental health, no, but for my maturity and just growing and being open, it's been beneficial that way. It's had bittersweet kind of moments.
Well, I think it's really nice to be able to hear a very real perspective on it. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you want to shift into like work stuff, or do you want to talk a little bit about the what we're voting on the immigration?
Is that the thing that you sent me, Dee?
Yeah, I'll read it to you guys.
So this is on our current ballot to be voted yay or nay, right?
Yeah, Amendment 76. Shall there be an amendment to the Colorado Constitution requiring that to be qualified to vote at any election, an individual must be a U.S. citizen?
So I'd probably open it up to permanent residents, because those are the ones who like got their green card and they're here, so they should be able to vote. Because to be a U.S. citizen, you have to go through the naturalization process, where you go do that lengthy quiz on the colors of the American flag and stuff like that. So
you also have to like denounce your like origin, your country of origin.
I don't know. I haven't looked too far into it. Is that the case?
I'm kind of like adjacent information, but I'm pretty sure that like if to do the naturalization, you have to be like, okay, like I'm no longer like British or whatever.
Wow.
I think.
That I didn't know. If that's the case, I would want to do that. I would stay a permanent resident forever, because it's a choice to apply for it. So, you know, things that you're like at more for risk to be deported if you stay as a permanent resident. But in terms of being able to vote, I don't know. It needs more information. Like if you're here after a couple of years or something, you should be able to vote. You know, if you have to pay taxes and because all the decisions that are made affect you whether or not you are a citizen of the country.
Right.
Right.
And that's like the killer, that you're still friggin' paying taxes. Like, if you're paying taxes, you should be able to fucking vote.
I have to go through the whole process just like everyone else. So at this point, I should be able to vote. I
Yeah.
should be able to claim kind of residency if I'm in a place for 4 years too. Like in Canada, I could go there as an international student for 2 years, work as well, and become a permanent resident without having to go through all that America requires. Like, you don't have to go get married to someone or have a family member file for you. You can just, if you are someone that works and contributes to their economy, then you can become a resident and you can become a citizen of the country. That's how Canada works.
And that just makes so much more sense.
It does, especially with like tuition and stuff. Because I've had people ask me, like, okay, you've been here for almost, 2-3 years before this. And they would say, so why don't you apply for like the resident thing at the school? And I'm like, I'm still an international student. So even though out-of-state students can come here and live here for 2 years and apply to get the in-district fees, I can't do that because I'm still considered, like, I'm in this place of limbo. I'm like in between Jamaica and America, even though I'm here.
Yeah. Even though you're paying taxes. Oh my God. That kills me. Of course it's that way. I mean, but then it's like, okay, all the cracks are showing, like, but guess what? Like, we get to change this. We get to demand Kamala Harris change this, you know? We gotta mobilize our power in united front and like actually rewrite this bullshit.
I hope she's not a pawn.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's a politician, so she's a pawn. But
Sad.
I think hopefully there's some like fire of accountability in all of our bellies, and you know, I feel like society is the most engaged it's ever been, and I think that that's really promising. Dee turned me on to this podcast, Higher Learning, and they had an episode recently where they were talking about how Snoop Dogg and Shaq are first time voting this election.
I saw those eyes.
Wow.
And they're like, you know, they're in their mid 50s.
First time after being here for so long.
Yeah.
Alex, say something on it.
I mean, it's just embarrassing, like that. Like, you've been involved like all this time, and like you say it. It's just, I don't know. It's not something to be proud of. Like, as I get that they're trying to convince other people to come out and vote, like, or people that haven't done it before. At the same time, it's just like, it's very disappointing to like hear that of people in like such positions of power.
Yeah.
Black people of power, like, it's like, why would you not? Yeah, it's been happening like every week. There's been like some celebrity coming out like, it's my first time voting, like, and they're like, yes, queen, like, vote, like, but that's not. I don't know. Anyways.
You say it was Shaq and who?
Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
And so, you know, I initially had that reaction. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how, you know, meanwhile, I've been like pre-registered to vote since I was 17, you know, like all I cared about, you know? And I mean, it just, I don't even know what it was. Like, I just was like, this is a civic duty. Like, this is, you know, this is important.
But that's also maybe just their just like their experiences as being like disenfranchised in their own right. Like they're obviously having these opinions and thoughts of like the system and what they've seen, and like why did they probably just have been like, there's like no need for this in their situation. So maybe they've never really seen the benefit of it in their black family.
Episode of like detachment and privilege in the same way. You know, it's like you're fine, so why should I worry about like politics, you know? But at the same time, like we've seen time and time again, like how quickly someone like a NBA, like a professional athlete, can just be pulled over just as quickly as a normal, you know, resident. So it's just like it takes moments like that for people to realize like they aren't special in certain people's eyes. So it's just disappointing that like you wouldn't vote.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. I feel you. I'll try and remember to send you the link, but I think it's really worth listening to because they come at it, you know, it's like two people, two black people, and you know, they kind of like go through the angles of it, and it was really interesting. And I think they brought up some really good points about, you know, like, yeah, disenfranchisement, but also like, well, they both lived in California that like predominantly like votes along Democratic lines. And so it was just like, they never felt like until now that it like, they were like, no, now's the time. And I think like the tides are changing for people in those ways where I'm like, I'm appalled. I'm totally appalled. And like, how dare you have this platform for, I mean, they've both been famous since they were like 18 or something, you know, like, but, you know, I think there's...
Trump rattles people. He's getting a visceral reaction out of people, so it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm glad that now they're doing it and, like, they're speaking out about it, but at the same time, it's just, like, so disappointing.
Yeah. No excuses. Play like a champion, boys.
Okay, I want to mute myself.
No. But should we ask any other questions on our page, Bree, to Mish?
That's my mom's name.
Michelle.
Uh,
I guess like we could ask you those last two questions.
Yeah. Hit it, D.
What were your thoughts of the events that happened this summer with the protests and Black Lives Matter? And was this something that was a topic with family members back home?
My mom was mostly scared for me. I was scared too. It was upsetting. I cried a lot because I didn't understand from a country where we don't have to deal with this. So as other white people were learning, I was learning too. So I wasn't really, if anyone was supposed to seek any answers or something from me, I wouldn't be able to speak about it the way people would expect because I'm not from here. There are experiences that I had, the microaggressions that I didn't know was racism. Like I just didn't know because I never thought twice about it. Like a professor asking about my hair and if I would wear that, you know, it wouldn't go well with in the corporate environment having a fro. And I just stood up for myself, but I didn't think it was like because I was a Black person kind of thing, you know? So it was scary. Seeing all of the comments in some of the group chats on Facebook from people in this community really scared me because I didn't know that they thought that of people that looked like me. And because I know people in this country, there are some people that are just very prone to mass shooting. It's not a thing in Jamaica either. So I was scared of protesting. I went to protest once. It felt, it was led by white people. It felt performative. And there's that one guy that I argued with on Facebook because he was trying to start a BLM chapter. You can count on your fingers how many chapters they are. and a white guy that just started to be an ally wants to start a chapter in Steamboat where there's a chapter in Denver. Like you don't get to do that. You get to learn, not, do all of that. Like that just wasn't his place, I thought. There's stuff like that where I was just learning. It was a learning experience. I was super scared. I'm not really that scared anymore, but I was really scared when I went to that protest because I thought someone could possibly drive by and just, because of the comments that I was seeing and what I was seeing on video.
Yeah.
However, I am grateful that you did go to that, and then you wrote your like wonderful manifesto, and then we got to all get to share you.
Yeah, I went in on him.
Where is it?
Huh?
Where is the thing that she wrote?
Oh, it's on Facebook in that group, and I think they just they got rid of that group.
Oh, okay.
They started a BLM group.
I wasn't sure if it was a PDF or something I should be reading.
I wish I had screenshots of it or something, but at 3 a.m. in the morning, he was like, yeah, the group got dismantled. Yeah, it was super toxic.
Yeah.
It was terrible. There was a bunch of arguments. There's one guy that just wanted to lead everything, and he didn't know enough to want to lead something like this.
It was a Black Lives Matter group?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird here with the protests, because there were protests happening, but it was all white people who were just like Mish said, it was, and there was different factions of them, and you couldn't ever tell who was putting on the protests, and then you could also tell that there was clearly beef between the different protesters. It was weird.
What?
It was weird.
Yeah, one time I was talking to the guy, and he was like, I'm not doing this for you. And I'm like, well, who are you doing it for? I'm the one that you're supposed to be listening to.
Yeah, I want to know more about this. This is fascinating because so many people out there think that they're doing the right thing because their intentions are good. So they think that their behavior is excusable.
Wait, what were you asking?
No, I want to know more about this.
Oh yeah. There was just this guy, when I went to the protest that I went to, he had a microphone or whatever, and he was just screaming the chants for the whole BLM thing. And I was like, this just seems weird. It just didn't feel genuine. I felt strange being there, I kind of felt like I wasn't meant to be there. It was just their thing to do, to show. Even the police officers, but it's a speedy, they kneeled too, and I was like,
Yeah.
It's so performative. I was like, why am I here? I felt nothing after. The only thing that made me feel something was that we laid on the ground face down for 8 minutes.
And a drone flew over.
A drone, yeah. You could hear the drone flying over. And
to get that footage, make a post about it.
Yeah, and a guy in a truck passed, shouted out something. I have no idea. And people were cheering on when someone would pass and honk their horn, and it just felt weird. And he was starting to become I don't know who appointed him leader, but he was ready to become a leader and said he's going to start a chapter. And so I did some research, and I'm like, there's no way that they're going to allow someone that's not really a Black activist to start something as important as a BLM chapter, in Steamboat Springs of all places.
Right.
And so I did I told him that it was not his place. And he was like, well, I am in contact with the BLM Foundation or whatever it is. He's in contact with them, and they're okay with him doing that. So I did send them a message saying, hey, this is going on. there's this guy who says he wants to do this, and I don't think he should be. I don't know whether or not they reached out to him or not, but he stopped all his bull. So there's that.
Wonder if he was just like a troll.
He just like disappeared, or like did anyone actually like see him at the rallies or whatever?
After arguing with him, he like went. I saw him make him, because I didn't come out of the group immediately, and I could see that they were asking for donations for people to buy things, to buy resources for when they go to Denver to protest. So he was going to Denver with some other people to protest when they were still like protesting in Denver. I don't know what happened after I leave the group, because it was just upsetting me, because there was another guy in town. He's Caucasian, but he's an immigrant. And he's had his issues with the town before. And I kindly asked him to not make the group about him, because he's done that before. Any group that he goes into, he kind of takes over with his own issues and makes it about him. And so I asked that he be mindful of the reason for the group was to raise, BIPOC voices and help to make change. And he wasn't listening to that at all. And the guy was like siding with him, the white guy. We were both Caucasians, but he's just from a different country. So he doesn't consider himself to be Caucasian, but he is. He's from Europe.
That's as white as you get, my friends.
Has the paper contacted you about that series that they're doing?
No, not at all. And I wouldn't want to be
featured.
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Over it?
Yeah, like they ask certain questions. I have no idea what to put down. There are people who are better able to use their voices than I can when it's like putting things into words. I'm still learning, so sometimes I don't feel like I know enough to be able to speak for people. Because a lot of times they kind of use our voice to speak for other people and their experiences, and I'm still learning, so I don't feel like I could be able to do that in the best way, at least.
Yeah, you're not a monolith. You're not like representative of all Black experiences.
And not all immigrant experiences. Everyone's kind of had it different. Mexican experiences are very different from Jamaicans. And there's also still from all different kind of countries who've had different experiences. So I can't really, it's too, they generalize it too much.
Yeah, it's hard to trust our paper to accurately do things, but yeah. That one hit you, huh?
I just remember that little article that they wrote about me in the paper. And I think the first line said, Alex Saraparu, a young African-American in town. That was the first sentence. And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, I was on the first page of the protest, like a picture of me. That one day I went to protest, I was on the paper. Like my picture of me was in the paper. And I was like, this is kind of the things that they do. So I just don't think I'd want to be featured.
Super fair. Soup's fair. So, I mean, do you feel like the tides have shifted at all in the last 6 months from like, the BLM movement taking some roots, or just awareness being more prevalent in this community?
I think there's more awareness. I think people are really showing their colors. I just
In a
never.
good way?
Not necessarily. I guess I just didn't expect so many racist people to be in this community. Like there's so much hate in this community. Like I just did not expect it. Like I just didn't know. And I keep seeing it. Like that's why I came out of the Root County Chant Run of Rave group too. That's like the biggest group in Steamboat.
What group?
The Root County Chat, Rant, and Rave group.
Oh, I can only imagine what happens there.
It's just a bunch of politics and a lot of, like, I've seen women, like, talk about thugs and whatever, and they argue all the time. Like, you can't, I tried to defend myself in that group, and this lady made me cry. So I came out of the group, and she was like, I thought BLM stand for Bureau Land Management. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm leaving. Just hateful, just. But I do see good. There are people here who want to learn. It's just, there are always going to be good people. I just didn't expect there to be so much hate here.
I think the community is probably and should be ashamed of that, as they are, you know, like, oh, we're the friendliest town as long as you're white, basically, is the subtext.
They're fake friendly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw it after a year of being here, though, with the whole hello, hi, how are you kind of thing.
I feel like that's pretty American, though.
Well, it's the entire country then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's shift gears here. Let's get into so like so I'm really curious about how you kind of took that leap from, you know, working for Wyndham and then being like, no, I'm going to work for myself. What did that transition look like? How did you kind of gear yourself up?
I was starting to feel really unhappy with going to work. So I'd lay in bed probably until 15 minutes before I need to get up to get ready to leave. And I would rather stay home. I was so much happier packaging soap or going online and working on my Instagram or working on a website than going to work. And that's kind of was like the first hint to, you might just need to do something that makes you a little happier. And then I started to put in more work into the businesses, and I was starting to make more money, and I was making more money than I was at Wyndham and the other job that I had as a marketing coordinator. And so I just took the jump, and my boss was horrible. So I didn't tell my mom, but I seek the advice of my friends. And they were like, well, if you want to do it, just do it. I wasn't ready yet. I should have waited until I had a consistent stream of income, not just a couple of projects that made me feel like I was making enough. But that's kind of like what gave me the push.
And like, how did you create your workflow? How did you start like maximizing your time and costs?
It started really awful, to be honest. I kind of was just working until the point of burnout. Then I couldn't do it anymore. And that's like not the right thing to do. So just give yourself schedule and give yourself time off. And I wasn't doing that at first. And then I started working for myself basically in February, and then the quarantine came. And then I was really sad. So then I couldn't do work for myself either. I really had no money. Stimulus check helped. I benefited that way. But otherwise, I got really down. Like I was not making any money. But what I figured out the best thing to do is to stick to your schedule. If you want to wake up at 10 a.m., you wake up at 10. But still kind of like have a schedule, make sure that you rest. And remember when to just turn off the computer, turn off the phone, and when you're supposed to work. The hardest thing is the discipline, like throughout the day, remembering that you are actually working for yourself now, and this is your only source of income, so you can't be like, okay, I'm home, so I don't want to do this right now. You can do that if you know that you're going to be fine, but otherwise, I think you have to remember that this is your only source of income. You have to remember your why you're doing this. And my why was kind of like, I don't want to worry where my next meal is coming from. I want to be able to take care of my mom. I want to be able to help my little sisters. I want to be financially stable. And that was my why. I want to live a comfortable life. And remembering that kind of helps to keep you motivated to keep on going, because it's super hard having to do everything else. Because when you have a job, there's someone else doing something else. Like there's always someone for each position. But doing it on your own, you're literally doing everything, and you're working longer hours than you normally would at your normal job. So there is that. You just know that you're gonna put in a lot of work, but it should pay off, at least.
Do you like set goals for yourself?
Yeah, I did, and I joined a group of women here too that held me accountable. I think that's important too, because doing it alone is tough. You have to have other people who are doing the same thing that you can have conversations with them about business and any client issues. Like you can be open about having any issues with a client or anything mentally, because a lot of times family members won't understand unless you're doing the same thing. So definitely having a group of people or having some friends who are in the online business world or just in the business world overall, and maybe even closer to where you are at the beginning, like they're starting out too. That way you can share experiences and help to hold each other accountable. So I would set goals. Maybe I need to do this amount of work for this week, and have a financial goal for the month too. Like I want to make 5K this month or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's really important. I remember when I first started, I was always calling other photographer friends and what the heck just happened? You just need someone to be like, holy hell, I just made the wildest mistake, and just be able to talk to other people, because you're just sitting up in your little room and you kind of feel oh, there's no water cooler talk, there's no interaction with people throughout the day. So you really have to seek it out and ask other people that have done it before you. And I feel a lot of women are really wanting to help other women too, and it's really big right now that it's kind of a big self-made or self-employment gig with women. So I think it's really fun to kind of create that group with other people, but you do have to seek it out. It doesn't just come to you.
Yeah, after a while you do find your people, and I think it's also helpful to get out of the house. Don't always sit around the computer in the house. So going to Starbucks, I've been recently going to the coffee shops and stuff. That way I can hear other people speak and not necessarily have to speak to them, but not feel like I'm always alone.
How did you find your group of women that keep you accountable?
One of them messaged me on Instagram and asked if I wanted to join their group, because they're just not all of them started their businesses yet. I was the one that was the farthest along, but they all wanted to be a part of a group of people who could hold them accountable and have meetings and talk about stuff. So they messaged me on Instagram.
And
just went
how
for a
often
couple
do you
meetings.
meet?
We meet it pretty often at the beginning, but now it's more they're kind of falling apart. There's only 2 of them that we stay in contact with. It was a group of almost 7 women.
Wow.
Yeah, we met virtually first, and then when things with quarantine started to ease up a bit, we would go out to the parks or whatever and kind of sit away from each other and have our masks on and meet as well.
That's cool. But that's kind of dissipated a little bit. Do you feel like your need for it has dissipated also?
No, I still need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been doing it more virtually. There's this one lady in Jamaica, she's a copywriter, and we talk sometimes, but I still need that, especially with the group. of businesswomen. Like, I'd love to find more businesswomen to just vent to and talk about stuff.
Yeah,
We could do that.
I think we can handle that.
We should do that because I would really like to talk to someone.
Yeah, let's do it.
Into it. Well, it's about 7:14. Should we wrap things up? How you guys feeling? You want to any more questions for our fabulous Mish?
I applaud you for coming and talking about your experience in Steamboat. I definitely related to a lot of what you said. I can only imagine like the atmosphere that it's like currently. So I think when I left Steamboat, it wasn't nearly as political, or at least like race wasn't as big of a topic at that time, even though things were happening in a country that required, social justice noise, like, protests and stuff like that. But it was small things for me like that, kind of stuck with me. But I can only imagine being confronted with it daily there. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, Steamboat was in their own little bubble, so they don't know what happens outside of Steamboat.
How long have you been in Steamboat?
December will make it 5 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy that, we've only known you since June and you've been here that friggin' long.
Right? I didn't know there were such nice people here.
How did you end up meeting?
I saw her at the protest and I was like, who the fuck is that? I need to know who that is. And then she posted this like wonderful, expose and like personal account on the group, on the Facebook group that quickly like just dumpster fired. And then we had that Jump In for Justice Juneteenth event and I was like, hey girl, you want to come? And she came, and then it's just, pond life. We introduced her to pond life.
The best view in town. Sarah, are you still in that same complex?
There I am. Still here.
Across the pond, I'm waving.
I can't believe we all lived there at one point.
I had somebody say to me once, like, I was like, oh yeah, Indian Meadows. And they were like, what, Indian Ghetto? And I was so offended. I was like, what, how dare you? Like, this is a fantastic place to live.
Seriously.
Yeah.
They're just haters.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I lived around Whistler, so I was even closer to you at that time.
We were neighbors.
Yeah, I used to see her and I was like, who's that girl?
Just always carrying a snowboard. You're like, what is happening here?
Or riding your bicycle.
Wait, so you two did see each other, but you never connected?
We did at one point. We wanted to do a photo shoot.
Oh, yeah.
But it never worked out with our schedules. I thought that there was a laundromat like next to City Market, and I was like, oh, I want to do like a laundromat photo shoot. She's like, that thing is down. I was like, oh, okay. Had no clue.
I think the OC has a laundromat.
Ooh, like a retro.
I'm not sure what it looks like, but
there's a laundromat down Curve Plaza.
Okay.
oh,
Next to
And
Ace.
it's not new stuff. It's like old stuff.
Good.
oh.
So speaking of all of these upcoming photo shoots, like, so Mishy, what's next for you? What are you looking forward to now?
I don't know. People keep contacting me for photo shoots now. I don't know what's happening. I'm not a model.
You are. You definitely are.
We're
Like
here to
I modeled for Chrysalis yesterday.
What?
Did you
That's
get
awesome.
I got $150 gift card.
Fuck yeah.
So here it is. I can't wait to use it because they got some really cute stuff.
That is like the one store here where I'm like, that's not crazy priced and like pretty cute.
I always find stuff in Chrysalis.
She used to find stuff there too, I think.
It's this women's store like next to Mom or Besame. I don't know if Besame was here when you.
Oh, it was Cantina before.
Besame was there too.
Oh, it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like this really cute store. How did the shoot go?
It was all urban. You know, it's Steamboat, so it's not that urban, but it was like urban kind of photography, fashion stuff, and there was like I did photos of me in snow boots.
Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual Tiny Reps happy hour.
If you feel compelled, please send some monetary praise to our guest. Their Venmo is in the chat.
If you have any suggestions for future guests, email or DM us info@youngbloodscollective.org or @youngbloodscollective on Insta.
We look forward to chatting with y'all to talk creativity intersecting with the BLM movement.
Speak up, show up, and let's turn the tides, y'all.
Pew, pew!